Greetings everyone and welcome back to a new video. Now today I wanted to actually make a guide for Viper in PvP. Not PvE, just PvP, because this is mainly the content that I do. Which I know there's only 6 of us, but you know, it's fine. However, if you're interested in PvP, then I think you've come to the right place. Now I will mostly be talking about Crystalline conflict, but obviously the tactics and the ideas of how Viper works can be used for frontline as well. We're going to be opening up our PvP profile and go to the job section because Viper has a ton of abilities that get replaced by other abilities, so you can't all see it on your hotbar. So yeah, so first of all you've got the combo, which is your basic, well, 111 button, because once you press the striking dummy, it goes to the next one, which is this one, and then it goes to the Harbor's Bite, and then afterwards you get Death Rattle. So every three combinations, you get Death Rattle. It's a basic combo. It doesn't do a lot of potency. I kind of see it as pure filler. I don't use it as often. But the Death Rattle is pretty useful because, well, it only does 4k potency. It ignores guard completely. So if you see someone guarding up, your damage will completely ignore that protection that's being given to him. So, what I'd like to say with this is that if you see someone with 10% HP or lower, or maybe 20%, it's fine, and he's running away because he's a little bit panicked and he wants to try and, you know, survive, then rest assured, you have a ton of abilities that is tied to the Serpent's Tail that will grant all the damage, it's all ignored, and you just do 100% of the damage to the guard. So, Serpent's Tail I always use as a finisher move. Sometimes if I'm attacking an enemy with Uncalled Fury or my combo and I have an ability on my Serpent's Tail, if I see someone guarding up, chances are I do switch target and place that damage on him. Because if you see someone guarding up, it's not just for fun. Chances are he either is out of mana, can't recuperate, trying to run, or just you know, surviving as always. So in general, Serpent's Tail, pretty useful. But that's for the first combination. Now you've got Blood Coil, and Blood Coil is technically the ability I use the most as a single attack compared to the combo itself, because Blood Coil also gives you some healing. Well, some healing, it gives you 100% of the damage dealt. And again, you have yet another Twin Fang Bite, which does 4k potency and ignores the guard. And another special thing, which I may have forgotten to mention, is that it fills up the limit break a little bit faster. So in general, Limit Break is going to be one of the big damage dealers for Viper, especially because you're trying to build that up by using a lot of Serpent Tail's abilities. And it keeps healing. Now, before I'm talking about Rattling Coil, I'm going to be talking about Snake Scales. It's actually one of my, if not my favorite ability for Viper. So Snake Scales has a ton. It's a massive description. But the biggest thing you need to know is that it reduces damage taken by 50%. It grants immunity to everything that Purify would usually give. And as well, one of the White Mage abilities. So completely negated. It gives you another barrier of 4k potency. If that breaks, you will basically deal 50% more damage to the enemy within. I think it's 6 yalms. So again, you'll be dealing even more damage, and more damage also equalizes to a little bit more health because Snake Scales gives you 50% of the damage dealt back. What I'd like to mention is that, of course, you can do your AoE attack, you do 12k damage and you get 6k back. But there's a very special thing that it works because, you know, the combat is tied to the fucking server ticks and it works wonders. And it's to slither to certain enemies. Now, you've seen me use Snake Scales in an AoE range to this striking dummy. But what if I told you that you can actually time it so that if you see someone trying to run, you can still hit him with the ability? Because you're technically locked down. You can't move when you use Snake Scales. So I've only been able to use this striking dummy. It's only been hit by the AoE. But Slither is used to rush to either a party member or an enemy. So what we're going to try and do now is use Snake Scales, and as we hit Backlash, we slither to the next enemy. Again, Snake Scales, switch to striking dummy, hit it. Notice how this one is getting hit. This one probably also a little bit. I'm so sorry, striking dummy. I didn't mean to hit you. Oh, I sold something. Nice. Thank you. You guys are ruining my video. That's actually a very important thing, and it can be used because, you know, if you're using snake scales, chances are you're going to see someone run away from you because, you know, it's a big damage dealer and it's a bit scary, but again, screw that. I can still hit him. And I got 2 times 6k back because I obviously got the damage from this striking dummy as well. So it's very, very useful. It is a little bit hard to master, I think, because in the heat of the moment, you might forget about it. In general, though, it is very useful. And I'll be honest, I don't use it that often myself, that trick. But I feel like if you're going to do high ranked, it might be very important to do so. Now, Rattling Coil just reduces or just completely resets the time of Snake Scales and Uncoiled Fury. So whenever I go into a PvP game, I tend to use Uncoiled on the first row, hit Snake Scales and go to the next target and hit him as well. It's a little bit too much, but it puts pressure, and you can use Rattling Coil and you completely reset the countdown for Snake Scales and Uncoiled Fury. And I like to use both abilities at least once, because that way, if I use Rattling Coil, I'm not wasting it by just using it on one ability. I'd like to use it on both. Okay, well, you've already seen me use Uncoiled Fury. It does 8k damage to the first enemy and 4k to the remaining ones. So it does as much damage as Blood Coil, but it can also do AoE. And there's 2 attacks that do 4k each. So you can do 8k potency that completely ignores the guard. So it's very useful. Another tip I'd like to give with Viper is, if you're trying to run from someone, make sure to either slither to the enemy if he's close by, or to a party member to run, because that 50% movement will also work while you're guarding up. So you have a bit of a faster way to run away, because guard does slow you down by quite a bit. So it is pretty useful. Now we've got the World Swallower left. And before I talk about the Limit Break itself, as the Limit Break only, I'd like to mention one more thing. Snake Scales, you can use it very often in different ways. Now, you can either use it as a defensive mechanic, to either you're low on health, you like to protect yourself, and you can get some healing back by striking the enemy, recuperate, run away. If you are low on health, I generally would not use Snake Scales, because the way the server tick sometimes works is that if you strike down, sometimes you might not even hit someone and your health doesn't recuperate. And by the time you want to use recuperate, some other abilities have hit you and you're pretty much dead. So in general, if you're very low on health, don't use Snake Scales to protect yourself. Generally, I've tried myself, you pretty much die, because people will be hitting you non-stop and there's no way. So either use Slither for faster movement and guard up, or just use Slither to rush to a party member that's all the way back to try and outrun the enemy that's trying to kill you. That's my general tip. And while you're running away, you can also try and use Blood Coil to get some extra health back, so that you can get some healing on the way as you're running away. Use guards, Slither, all that stuff in order to try and escape the enemy. But I technically use Snake Scales very often in the offensive. So I would rush to the enemy, use Snake Scales, hit it, Rattling Coil and Snake Scale again. You are pretty much losing 30 seconds of not being able to protect yourself by it, but generally everyone having close by at the start and being able to hit quite a few of them. Some of them will probably run scared, some of them are going to focus on other enemies, some of them will try and focus on you. It's all fair, but in general, I tend to use Snake Scales pretty much in the offensive instead of trying to defend myself. Now, obviously, there are situations where I need to use it to protect myself, but in general, I just use it to attack the enemy, and that's it. World Swallower, your Limit Break. You will already notice if you've played Viper, you pretty much go Super Saiyan Blue. You've got a massive blue aura. Everyone fucking knows you're using Limit Break. It's that obvious. You jump to the enemy with 15k potency. You get 50% extra movement. To the target you jump and hit increases damage you deal by 25%, which is the Noxious Gnash. And there's an additional effect that works pretty much in AoE, and that's just the slowing down. Now, obviously my AoE isn't that big enough, so, but he's slowed down. And again, you can use the first combination. Again, Serpent's Tail, which is now first legacy, completely ignores guard, so you can use this to attack and use it to someone with guard. Ouroboros is a little bit annoying, and I would only read... I can't use it now, but Ouroboros, I would technically not use it as a finisher and just as a way to get some health back, because the ability takes like 2 to 3 seconds to really finally hit. And chances are, people that know how the limit break of Viper works, at some point they will realize to just use guard, because sadly Ouroboros does not ignore guard, so they can completely negate the damage, and you'll only deal like 500 or 1000 potency, and it's not enough, and you will also not get so much health back anyways. So technically use it to against the target that has guard up and is about to remove it, or just use it to either the same enemy if you notice he doesn't use his guard, or go to a different enemy that doesn't notice you're about to hit him. In general, it's pretty good anyways. Or of course, if they're all bunched up together, again, every ability is an AoE attack, so it works pretty handy. Oh, I can use it again. However, one more thing I'd like to mention about the limit break. If you've noticed, you are fucking blue. Everyone knows you're using limit break. Everyone knows you're pretty much a danger. So what happens is you become a massive target. Now, what I sometimes do, again, which I'd like to mention, is our beautiful snake scales. I know, I keep talking about snake scales. If I am using my limit break, I am inclined to keep snake scales available. And the reason why is because you are a target. Again, you use Wall Swallower, you are a massive target. What I tend to use is use 1 or 2 combinations. By that time, sometimes recuperate. People will notice you. Snake scales. Go to the other target. Use Ouroboros on the one that doesn't expect you. Boom. Done. So that's usually how I do it. It's very important, in my opinion, if you're using your limit break, to either even have Rattling Coil as well, because it can be very useful, but to at least have 1 snake scales available. If you use your limit break, you might become a massive target, and using snake scales pretty much throws most enemies off. 1, 2, 1, 2, snake scales. Protect yourself. 1, 2, 1, 2. Snake scales again with Rattling Coil if you want. And Ouroboros at the end. And then just come back to your Rattling Coil, or your Uncoiled Fury, sorry. I'm messing up all these names sometimes, but you get the idea. And then you can pretty much go as is. I hope I made it somewhat clear. It's actually not really that hard, which is why I'm making a guide with this one as a first class to play. I'd love to do more guides, because I play a ton of other classes in PvP for this, for Final Fantasy XIV. So if you like this guide so far, and the way I talk about most of these abilities, then I'd happily do some more, because I mainly play Red Mage aside from it, Warrior, Dark Knight, White Mage, Bard. Anyways, this was just the aspect of the abilities. We're gonna now do a game, and I will talk you all through it as we go along. I'm sure it won't take long, less than 5 minutes. Let's go through a game. Now, in most cases, I do have to say that obviously not every game is going to go the way you want it to go. And sometimes you might have a bad team composition, not everyone is pulling their weight, and it can generally be a bit hard sometimes to get your abilities going, to deal enough damage. But I feel like as long as you are top 3 in terms of DPS, it feels like at least you're pressing your buttons, you're dealing decent amount of damage, and you know, you're doing everything it takes for it to win, and that's what matters most of the time. So don't always get discouraged when things do not go your way, especially in just casual PvP. I can understand the pressure in ranked, obviously. I've had my fair share of anger for the team, sometimes even myself. So yeah, I usually start rotations often with Uncoiled Fury as a ranged, because I'm too scared. I get in there, I'm gonna use my... See, as I use my Slither to get in there. Again, he's using guard. Sometimes I use my rattling, or I keep saying my snake scales and blood blood coil to do double healing. Okay, limit break is ready. I don't always use it on cooldown though. Sometimes I'd like to wait depending on the situation. This doesn't really cause for concern. But now I will use it. His guard is now gone, so this means you're pretty much free to try and use your... See, and he's dead. If you notice his guard is gone, just go for your Ouroboros. It's completely fine. Have at it. I kind of wish this game didn't go so well, because I feel like I'm not really able to showcase how good it can be, even on shitty situations. I mean, it's a 3v1. I'll probably leave you guys and do your thing. I'm gonna go jump in there, use my uncoiled. Heal up. Limit break is ready. I'm gonna use snake scales to defend myself for a second and jump in there again. Notice how the other Viper also did the same thing. So he's using guard. Wait with the Ouroboros usually in this situation. Push it in. The Samurai is dangerous because he might use his limit break. Turbulence is coming in. Guard up. I might die here. Yep. Or not. Okay, I'm just using this to defend myself. Limit break. Her guard is up. Wait until it's gone. Ouroboros. And she's dead. I messed up a bit of my abilities there, but it's fine. I'm gonna jump into that Samurai. Dancer LB. Put some pressure on the Viper. Now I'm gonna use my filler basically. I'm gonna use snake scales immediately because I'm kind of in danger. I'm gonna use it again. It's very dangerous. Samurai did LB. They're all dead now. Alright, perfect. And now hopefully I did decent amount of damage. There you go. Top DPS by pretty much 400k. And that's... I didn't get top kills, but that's okay. And that's just how you sometimes play Viper. Now, I mostly know how to press my abilities in general. Sometimes I screw it up. You might have seen at the end that I missed up one Serpent Still on my limit break. Sometimes you panic. Sometimes you try and see if you're going to die or you need to focus on someone else. You misstep a little bit. But mistakes can happen and you don't need to do a perfect rotation when playing PvP. That's what I love about PvP the most. In general with PvP, you can switch it up. You can stay in the distance and use some Uncurled Fury. You can go in, use snake scales. You can do it reverse. You can use it to defend yourself. You can use it while using your limit break. So just because you use your limit break doesn't mean you just have to press your limit break abilities. You know, you have more to your arsenal than just your 1-2-3s. Anyways, I hope this was somewhat clear. There might be more tricks about Viper I do not know myself personally, but in general, this is how I play it, and maybe it's a way for you to improve, or maybe you've already known everything about it already, and this is just a recollection, or there's absolutely nothing new. That could also be the case, but yeah, I hope it somewhat worked for you all. Now, thank you all for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I'll see you all in my next video. Take care, everyone. Peace.